Hi, my name is Maggie Johnson. We're going to be talking today about when your faith wavers. And if you go with me, please, to Matthew chapter 11. Jesus is speaking at this point. What is happening here is I'm going to look at Matthew chapter 11, and we're going to look at verse 2 and continuing. Now, when John heard in prison about the deeds of the Christ, he sent words by his disciples and said to him, "Are you the one who is to come, or shall we look for another?" And Jesus answered them, "Go and tell John what you hear and see. The blind receive their sight, and the lame walk. Lepers are cleansed, and the deaf hear. And the deeds are raised up, and the poor have good news preached to them." Verse 6, "And blessed is the one who is not offended by me." As they went away, Jesus began to speak to the crowds concerning John. "What did you go out into the wilderness to see? A reed shaken by the wind? What then did you go out to see? A man dressed in soft clothing? Behold, those who wear soft clothing are in kings' houses. What then did you go out to see? A prophet? Yes, I tell you, and more than a prophet. This is he of whom it is written, 'Behold, I send my messenger before your face, who will prepare your way before you.'" Jesus says, "Truly I say to you, among those born of women, there has arisen no one greater than John the Baptist. Yet the one who is least in the kingdom of heaven is greater than he. From the days of John the Baptist until now, the kingdom of heaven has suffered violence, and the violent take it by force. For all the prophets and the law prophesied until John. And if you are willing to accept it, he is Elijah who is to come. He who has an ear, let him hear." John is in prison now. He knows what's impending. He knows his head is about to be, he's about to be beheaded. His faith is wavering. There is a level of expectation, see, that John has. You know, whenever we have, in all of us, there is a level of expectation when you know that you've been faithful to obey God, when you have been faithful to live that life, to serve Him with everything that is within you. And it's not that kind of faith that says, "Jesus, you owe me." That's not the faith that John has, or that you and or that you and I would have. But it's that nothing is impossible with you faith. It's that faith that says, "I believe, help my unbelief." When we deal with a matter like with sex trafficking, it is very easy to become overwhelmed with what we see, to become overwhelmed with how in the world am I going to do anything of significance. This is the kind of faith that you and I need to have that's going to counter the wavering faith. Because remember, Jesus did not rebuke John for his wavering faith. But let's take a look at what did he do? Jesus confirmed and he verified. He says, "Now John, take a look at what is happening. The blind, they're receiving their sight. The lame, they're walking. The lepers, they're cleansed. The deaf, they're hearing. The dead, they're being raised. The poor, good news is being preached." So he's letting John know that the evidence of who he is right on point. And he was letting John know, don't take offense at me. And he tells us that blessed we will be if we do not take offense at him. And so how do you take offense at Jesus? When your faith wavers. When your faith begins to doubt. When it is no longer strong. When you are no longer willing to be that voice that you once were. when you become discouraged due to God's sovereignty, when you become confused and you can't follow God's hand, when you can't figure out the next step, when you don't know how to be Jesus' witness of the gospel because of atrocities. Human trafficking is an atrocity. Gang rape, that's an atrocity. The brutality, the abuse, that's all are atrocities. You must press through. God has already spoken to us about such time. How has he encouraged us? Isaiah 55, 6 through 11, he has told us to seek the Lord while he may be found. Call upon him while he is near. Let the wicked forsake his ways, and the unrighteous man his thoughts. Let him return to the Lord, that he may have compassion on him, and to our God, for he will abundantly pardon. We can always encourage someone that the answer is always to draw closer to God. James tells us to draw close to God, and he's going to draw closer to us. It's a guarantee, but it's a guarantee that he will draw close to us, but it requires our own effort, our effort of submitting to him, our effort of drawing close to him. So we can still do this in the midst of our uncertainty of what's going to be the outcome. Verse 8 says, "For my thoughts are not your thoughts, neither are my ways your ways, declares the Lord. For as the heavens are higher than the earth, so are my ways higher than your ways, and my thoughts than your thoughts. For as the rain and the snow come down from heaven and do not return there, but water the earth, making it bring forth and sprout, giving seed to the sower and bread to the eater, so shall my word be that goes out from my mouth. It shall not return to me empty, but it shall accomplish that which I purpose, and shall succeed in the things for which I sent it." So what do? We press forward in knowing that God has already told us the way I am going to do things is not going to be the way you're going to do things. The way I am going to work out my plan and my purpose is not going to be the way you're going to think it's going to be the normal way. I am God. You cannot understand all of my ways. I have even told you that I'm going to explain to you what I am doing. Deuteronomy 29 is one of those verses I go to often. It's when I am dealing with situations where I'm looking at a young kid and they've been abused and I don't know how to encourage them. I can let them know, I know there is one that knows. I just don't know. So what I'm going to do is just start with the very basics of what it takes to give hope. And that is to be a good listener, to be one that know that God can deliver anyone. And he's beckoned me to make some decisions. I've been in abuse for 15 years. Or I've been abused for at least about 7 or 5, whatever the time span that a person may have been abused. And I say something to the effect that, okay, you are 10 years old. God's plan for you is that you live until you are at least 80. So therefore, you have got 70 years in between. You have to make a decision. Do I want to spend the next 70 years looking back to something that was so painful, and it will cause me to live in pain for the rest of my life if I stay there? Or do I want to take the remainder of those 70 years and use that atrocity as a stepping stone to what could possibly be? God is into rewriting stories. That's a part of your life. It is never going to change. It is there. But the thing that you can control are your thoughts, your desires, your actions. You can control all that. So why not spend the next 70 years working on those things. Working on what you can control, and that is yourself. Growing in God's grace, growing in His knowledge, and being that person that He purposed you to be, that He created you to be, that He predestined you to be, and that is to be transformed into the image of His Son. And do everything you can to not hinder that transformation. Be encouraged.